2 deep boxes, that's the 10-inch boxes. 10 or a little more than 10 inches.
Okay. What do you put? Just start with those 2 boxes. That's it.
Yeah,
And a
start
lid.
with 2. Just start with 2 until they fill them full of honey. When they fill them full of honey, then add honey supers. And usually takes a month or so for them to fill those 2 boxes up. And you have to keep checking them, make sure they're not. Because if they get full, if it gets full and there's no more places to put honey, they'll swarm.
Okay.
So you have to be aware of what's going on in those 2 deep boxes.
How high do you go?
High as it takes. If they keep making honey, just add more honey supers. And when you add a honey super, instead of adding it on top, pick up the first one that's on top of the deep supers and stick the new one under there, because they got to crawl across those empty frames to get to the honey, and they don't like that. So they'll quickly fill that empty one up with honey so that they can get up to the upper
Tricky.
honey super.
Tricky.
Huh?
Tricky.
Well, it's just operating with their psychology, their bee psychology, I guess you call it. Experimentation works. And probably would pay to start out with 2 or 3 hives. It's easier to shift things around if one isn't working well. Then you could shift stuff from the stronger hive to the weaker hive, like brood. You can shift brood over. And that gives it's easier to start making a new queen if you have more than one super. There are more than one deep hive, more than one beehive at the same spot. Having 3 or 4 in one spot's a good thing.
Do they always put brood in the bottom?
Yeah, until it's full, and then they start making brood up in the honey supers. If you don't watch it, you don't want that. You don't want brood up in the honey supers.
So do you add more brood chamber stuff?
You can add another deep box. I usually operate in 2, sometimes 3 deep boxes. And if you put 3 deep boxes in, why, you can keep rotating them. You can put the full one on the bottom and put the less full one up higher. Just keep always have, they always work uphill, so they'll always need if they're building brood, they need an empty place to build brood. And if they don't have a deep super, they'll build it in the honey super. You don't want it there.
How do you know when they're building brood?
You can see the caps are different color. If it's honey, it's all light white. If it's brood, it's a kind of a brown color.
Huh. Okay. So is there any certain time they do the brood?
Any kind of breed?
Any certain time?
Yeah, the normal Italian bee, it works about the best, because there are some other types of bees that are more hostile, that some people like to work with them, but just the Italian breed of bee is about the best.
When do they do their brood though? I mean, is it all year, or?
It's mainly in the spring, early spring. If you put a queen and say a couple thousand bees in a hive, and they're making cells. The first cell made, the queen will hit egg in it, and so makes them hurry up and get more comb built, because she's ready to lay eggs, and they know that, and they want to keep ahead of the queen. So when you start the spring, if you put a queen and say a couple thousand bees in a box that has no brood in, first cells that they build will be brood, because the queen's going to be laying eggs, and they hurry up and make new cells so she has a place to lay eggs.
when do you not need to start putting on honey supers then?
Wait till the deep supers are almost full. You gotta watch, because the second they hit full, they'll swarm. So you wanna be a little ahead of that. You wanna have some space above your brood chamber. They're still making brood. And before they get to the top, put your honey super on. And sometimes you put a queen guard in there so she can't go up into the, she always
okay.
works uphill. Put a queen guard on top of your two deeps to keep the queen from going up into the honey super. Some people work with the queen guard and some never do. But if you never do, why, you'll have to keep an eye on the hive and make sure they've got room to make brood, and try to second guess when they'll hit the top, and want to continue to make brood up in your honey super. That's not good.
Okay.
Those little things flying around your honey doesn't look good. Which I've seen.
So how do you put a super in? I mean a swarm in to a hive?
Just shake them in. Just, if you have a box with a swarm of bees in, just turn it upside down on the hive body and just shake it a little bit and they'll fall down in there. Sometimes if you have a big bunch of bees to put in, take a couple frames out